Hello and welcome to my garden. Today I am doing a garden tour for May. There are lots of things that are budding up and a few blooms around. So as you can see, the catmint here, it is absolutely beaming with blooms and will probably just get even better in the next couple of weeks. Then I've got this salvia. This is a May night salvia that is in bloom. Over here, these are the rose campions, and they are showing signs of starting to form buds. So those will be blooming in a couple of weeks. And down here, we've got a Echinacea cherry brandy, which I did have to put this cage on it. This is actually a dollar store waste basket. They work fantastic for protecting plants, small plants, from the bunnies. And here we have some yarrow. Seems a little behind, but I'm sure it'll be great in about next month, probably middle June. And then we've got the dianthus, which is also starting to fill in. Late blooming again, probably because of the transplant. Then we've got 3 of the little blue stem, I believe, grasses, and some millennium alliums, which they're looking great and healthy. No signs of buds quite yet. This is a calendula that I think self-seeded or came back from last year. Again, little waste basket to protect it. And then we've got the spirea, which are starting to also show some buds. And that'll bloom in the next couple of weeks, I think, as well. Middle of June is usually fantastic with blooms. That is the height of blooms for me most of the time. These are 3 little calendulas. These are the ones I winter sowed, and so I had up potted them into a small pot, and then I now pop them into the ground because they're big enough, but still protecting them from the bunnies with the waste basket. These are some lavender that I had winter sown last year. I put them in the garden last year. They were very small, but now they're nice and big, throwing up a ton of buds. I am so happy with this, and I winter sowed more English lavender, and I'm looking forward to putting that into the garden. The one back there is actually from a big box store. It's finally filling in, but these filled in so much faster, so they're much stronger, and I would like to replace that one with the ones I have winter sown. Then I've got this grass, which I just don't know the variety, but I love that one. I've got some meadow sage here, and this is a dwarf variety. I transplanted a little piece here, but it's struggling. I probably just need to give it a little bit of water and it might come back. It's a pretty tough plant, so I think it'll be fine, but it is starting to show a lot of buds. And then here are some thrift that I added to this garden section. These are the ones I got at discount at Walmart, and all the flowers were dead, so I did have to, cut them. So here I have I still can't remember the name of it. I'll pop it up in the Leucothoe. It's looking great. It has these little white blooms it puts out, and it's so pretty. It's towards the end of the bloom time, but it is quite beautiful with those little blooms. And then I've got the hydrangea here. This is the endless summer hydrangea. It did get some late frost, so I did have to cut a bit of it back. Might have late blooms on it, but it should be okay. And we added this fence here to hide that generator, so I think it looks so much better. And here's the second Endless Summer hydrangea. Again, looking great at this point, but I did have to cut it back. And I do see some buds here and there, so it is throwing out a few buds. So not all is lost, and I should have some blooms in here. This is the St. John's wort finally putting on some growth. I did just transplant it. It was over there, and I swapped that plant with this one. This area gets a little more sun, and I do think that this one wants a bit more sun than the other, so I did switch them around. Unfortunately, that might mean that this one is going to be lagging a little behind because of that. Then I've got in some of these cages, these are the, I think the salmon star lilies, and the other ones, I think it was the centerfold lilies. I did give those away. Those were not my favorite, so I dug those up, and someone else can enjoy them. I'm not quite sure if this is another lily salmon star. I did have another lily in here, so I don't know. I'm waiting to see what those are. And then I never dug up all of my gladiolas, and it seemed like all of them survived. I pulled them all up from the other side and just put them all nestled in together over here, and they're just all coming up. It's wonderful. I may be able to just keep them as a perennial, which that makes me super happy. And then we've got this snow-capped daisy, and doing great. I have one on either side. And then my little peony transplant, fantastic. It actually threw up a bud. I cut it off so that it can focus on just making more blooms for next year and getting bigger. Here are the Veronicas that I had divided. So I had taken 2 of those big plants I had and just divided them up into these smaller chunks, and they are doing fantastic. Obviously a little behind because of the fact that I chopped them up, but anyway, I think they'll be fine and they'll throw up some blooms. This is my peony, and I have 2 of them here. I'll throw up the names of each one on the screen, and they were looking fantastic a week ago, so I'll show you a clip of that as well. Looking great. And then my sempervivums, hens and chicks, they exploded in these containers. I'm just amazed at how humongous these things are. They barely can fit in here, and they're just throwing up a bunch of little babies everywhere. So I'm going to have to figure out what to do and probably put them in different pots. I don't know what I'm going to do, but they're just loving life. And then I have, I guess 3, I think there were 3 in here, poppies that came up. They actually came up in a container that I had just thrown some seeds to see what would happen, and those were the only ones that came up. And then I've got hollyhocks, which, look at this one, so ginormous. This one is starting to finally, I think, put on a little more growth. I'm not sure why it's a little bit behind. And then I have a surprise peony. So this is where I dug up the peony, this large one. I dug it up from this spot, and clearly I left a piece of root. And now I have another little peony that's growing. That's so fantastic. And yeah, so I'll probably spread it around the garden. I'll just find another spot for it. But this hollyhock is actually showing some buds. So let me find one. So there, it looks like that might be a bud that will come out. And I believe that is another one. There's a few more around, and they're just looking fantastic. I've now added the dahlias to the garden. All of the ones that I bought this year had eyes. Every single tuber that I had actually showed an eye and was viable. I had too many. So I gave away, I think, 3 or 4 extra tubers of the ones I bought this year. And I also added some of the gladiolus I bought. I have some here. I have some back in this corner here. Then I've staked up or put stakes in here for the dahlias ahead of time. Last year I struggled because I waited too long and it was not good. And then here is the planting that I did. I have a video where I showed me planting all of this, and this one clematis is just going gangbuster. It's just doing great. Even though a bunny did chew it, it chewed it down there. But the other stem has done really, really well. And then this one is finally starting to put on some growth. I did cage it up because that one was so small. I was afraid the bunny was going to get to it, and I'll probably remove that soon. And then the Gara also got chewed up by the bunny, but it seems to be doing well, and just sort of throwing up a few new shoots in there. All of the straw flower I planted, a lot of them are doing fantastic. Some of them are just really, really big, getting nice and tall. I actually added the peach one down here too. So I've got the pink one up above and then the peach one down here. So over here, more dahlia. So this is dahlia land. And this corner here, this is the Penhill watermelon. So I had one that threw some eyes. I actually saw some eyes on it. I am hoping that it will actually grow. So let's see if I'm successful in getting this thing all the way up to grow and bloom. But anyway, if I don't, that's why I threw it up in the corner, so that sort of these would hide it if that one never comes up. And then I have my foxgloves. These are the ones that I grew from winter sowing last year. It now has finally a bloom stalk, and it's starting to show some buds and flowers. Oh my God, it's going to flower very soon. I am so super excited about this. It's like waiting so long since you only had leaves for the entire year, and then finally blooms. So this is the is an astilbe, and it's doing great. Let's hope nothing eats the blooms once they come out. This is the one that I bought from Bare Root at Walmart, and it is just fantastic. This is probably the best one of them all, just looking great. Super happy. I'm not seeing any buds yet on it. I don't think these are buds. I think these are just more leaves, but I don't care. It's just looking great. I'm loving it. These are the lace cap hydrangeas, the Twist and Shout. They're not quite as big this year because I did cut them back. I did take some divisions out of it, gave them away to some neighbors, but they are showing some buds, and that makes me super happy. These are super easy. These were here when I bought the property, but I mean, I'm keeping these. These have to be here forever because these are super easy and they just make me happy. I like seeing the blooms. I like plants that are easy. So here are the rest of the foxgloves, and these are a little bit more behind than the other one. The other one I think gets a little more sun, but the stalks are so huge. They're looking beautiful. And then here is my columbine, my one columbine from last year's winter sowing, which has flowered, and I didn't know what color it was going to be because it was from a mixed seed packet, and I am in love with the color that actually came out. This is beautiful. It's gorgeous. I love this. I'm going to leave it here to die and self-seed and make more babies. I want more of that. Then over here, just a few more of the foxglove. I've got 3, I think, in here. And then the alliums bulbs that I planted last fall all came up, and they actually looked better about a week ago. I'll throw a clip up, and super happy at how these also performed. My one hydrangea that I had moved over to this side, unfortunately, has struggled. It's starting to rebound now. I may just have to cut it all back down to the ground and just let it flush back brand new, and it'll be fine for next year. It'll throw out blooms next year. And then this little hydrangea has done great and living here, loving life. And then I've got more of the rose campion over here. I've decided that this is where I'm going to let the rose campion just probably self-seed. It actually self-seeded itself in one of my other garden beds. So I did pull up a bunch of babies. I put them back there. They're all doing great. They transplanted beautifully, and there were teeny tiny babies. So yeah, they do fine transplanting. Here are the snow-capped daisies that I had transplanted last summer. I forgot what time, it was the wrong time of year to do it, but I dug them up, I put them in here. I actually pulled out little bits and pieces and singular ones and just planted them here. And they love this section, I think, the most out of all the garden beds. So yeah, they might be living here for quite a long time. And this is a good spot for them for sure. And then I've got a few more over here of the snow-capped daisies. I have some yarrow that I didn't know what else to do, so I plopped it in here, but it may come out one day. I actually took out this big hydrangea I had here. It struggled so much, and I divided it up and just gave it away. So what I did is I put a bunch of gladiolus bulbs in there. I had so many of them that's where I decided to put them. And then let's see what else. Bunch of snow-capped daisies here, just all over the place. And then I've got the heucheras, which I had to cover up because the bunnies just kept munching on them. And I just saw a baby one before. So got to keep a lot of these cages around everything still, because the baby ones in particular, they will try to taste anything. You know, they don't know any better, so they'll sample all over your garden. Anyway, so I popped in these New Guinea impatiens. They've always done really well in this bed. They're struggling just a little bit because we're getting 90-degree days for like 3 days in a row. So yeah, they're struggling a little bit. Back there in the cage, that one is the Echinacea powwow. Again, bunny sampling, which is why everything's in cages. That's another Echinacea powwow. And this is a bare root I bought at Walmart. The package had 2, I think, 3. One seemed like it was dead, so I threw it out. One rotted on me, and then this one survived. So we'll see what color it is, because it was a mixed variety. So another surprise. And then this is one of the bare roots I bought also. This is the other Astilbe, and it is doing really, really well. This one, see, is not as bushy as the other one, but last year it struggled a little bit in getting some leaves, and so it's establishing itself this year, and we'll just let it grow. And at one point I'll have to get that cage out and put something else, but I have another small one here, also an Astilbe. This was a surprise bare root that came up this year from one of the ones I planted. And anyway, I think all of them are Sunny Boy, because the leaves are very green and not the chocolate kiss variety that I had really, really wanted. But I'm still happy about that. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. there's the mama bunny. Oh, there's a baby bunny. Oh,